Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brooke. If you guys are new here, welcome. Today I am doing a Q&A on living in New York. I've lived in New York now for 2 months. I can't even believe it's been 2 months. I moved amid the pandemic. Very strange. We'll tackle that in some of the questions. But I just thought it would be interesting to kind of reflect on my experiences so far here and to look back on this video someday. I thought it would be super cool. So if you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe. I do videos like vlogs all in New York about my lifestyle. And you can look back on my moving vlogs too from when I moved here like 2 months ago. Those were like prime content that was like ideal. Also, before we go any further, I want to give a shout out to my friend Lauren and her organization, Voting is Sexy. You can go to their website, which I will leave below, pick up some merch if you want to. Super comfy pullover that I'm wearing right now, and I love the little message. All of the proceeds go to an amazing cause, and that's just what I'm wearing today. So I thought I'd shout them out. And while we're at it, since it's September and I guess the election is kind of coming up in a few months, make sure you're registered to vote. I will leave a link down below to check if you're registered and how to register if you live in the United States, of course. And with that all being said, let's hop into the Q&A. I asked you guys on Instagram, by the way, so you should follow me on Instagram to be a part of the next one. First up, we have NYC versus Boston. So if you guys don't know, I lived in Boston for, it feels like a year, but then the pandemic kind of like shortened everything. So I lived in Boston previous to moving here. It's just totally different, I will say. They're both 2 major cities. They're both on the East Coast. Boston is significantly smaller. I feel like you can navigate the whole city like pretty easily. Not that New York is definitely really easy to navigate. That's not the right word. Boston is just more manageable, I guess. You could literally walk the entire length of the city like easily. An amazing city, a really good time. I feel like Boston was a little bit younger. My neighborhood here is still pretty young. I feel like most people around my age are like up to 30. That's like a generalization, of course, too. But I felt like Boston was a lot of, at least the people that I surrounded myself with, way more of like that post-grad scene versus here you kind of see all ages, if that makes sense. This is all based on my experience also. I loved Boston. I feel like it's just a fantastic city. You know, great restaurants, great shopping, great history, but so is New York. I mean, we have fantastic history here, of course. Like I said, New York is just larger, so I feel like there just naturally is more to offer, but similar in certain ways, I will say. This is a really frequently asked question, like how is it with everyone leaving New York City? What's it like moving here when everybody else is leaving? And this, I have things to say on this one. I actually have to disagree. While yes, a lot of people are leaving New York City due to the pandemic, people are saying New York is dead, but on that note, I have to disagree. It's definitely not the same city that it was before. I didn't live here before, but every time I'd come and visit, yeah, New York had a different like vibe about it, but there still are things to do. There's plenty of people still here. I haven't felt that it's especially like vacant, you know what I mean? I see plenty of people in my building. I see plenty of people out and about. I mean, when you're dining out, because we can do outdoor dining too, on a Friday or Saturday night, the streets are filled with people. And I feel really good about being here because people are responsible too. Everyone's wearing their mask and it doesn't seem unsafe. Then the next sort of question here is safety. And I guess we could talk about safety on 2 regards, in terms of the pandemic that we're all living through right now, and then in terms of like my area, living in the city as a single female. So in terms of the pandemic, I feel extremely safe. I feel like 90% of people are always wearing their mask. I don't want to say 100% just because there's always some people that aren't, but I feel like everyone's being generally responsible in terms of distancing and things like that. Like I'm literally watching a guy running on the street right now wearing a mask. Like for the most part, people are being really responsible. The infection rate here now I know is super low, so comparatively to other places in the country, I feel really safe. And then the next part of the question is, do I feel safe like in my area? I live in the Lower East Side, I live alone. I'm 23 and I do feel safe. I think at night is like when I feel a little bit lesser of safety, but I've yet to be, knock on wood, of course. I haven't felt in a position where I feel really unsafe or like dangerous. In any city or in any place, you obviously need to be aware of your own safety, especially at night. But I think that if you're just, you know, aware of your surroundings and everything, and I just walk with purpose. Sometimes I'll call someone if I'm like walking home. I'll try to like call someone on the way home just so that I have someone there. Still haven't gotten pepper spray yet, so I need to get on that. But I generally feel safe. I see a lot of other girls around my age walking around alone too at all points of the day, so yeah. All right, this next one, do you regret it? This one girl messaged me and said, it seems like it was a lot of money to spend on rent to sit in your apartment and watch TV. So while yes, I agree, we are in a pandemic, so I'm home quite a lot, but that's why I'm so happy with my choice in apartment. I am so happy in this space. I feel really recharged. I have great big windows. I have a nice amount of space for what I pay. I love my kitchen. I love like just certain elements. I love the whole apartment. I feel so lucky that I get to live here. But yeah, I think it's all about that balance of, you know, being safe while still having fun. So yes, I'll go out and like go to dinner with friends and see some friends and stuff like that. But yeah, I spend a lot of time alone and I spend a lot of time here. So that's why I am so happy that I invested in this space while still being in New York City. So I guess, yes, comparatively it is, I think a lot of people rationalize paying New York City rent because New York City's at their fingertips. You know, you could walk out into the street and there's always something to do. There's always places to go. But during the virus, there's less options. And I definitely agree on that. But like I said, I justify it because I love being here. I feel super safe in this space. And I think that we should all be being conscious of, you know, doing our part to kind of live life in balance with the pandemic. Like, yes, go out, see your friends, you know, do the socially distanced things. But I think it's really important to still be trying to stay home as much as you can and doing your part. So no, I don't regret it, but yes, you were right. I do spend a lot of time here alone. And I guess next on that one, do you get lonely? So I think that this is just a question. It doesn't matter where I live. It's just a matter of the times right now. I think a lot of people are lonely in the pandemic. I think I also live alone. So no matter where I would live if I was alone, there's always that loneliness element. So yes, totally candidly, I do feel lonely sometimes, but that's when I know in my head that it's time to call a friend or make a plan or try to do something. And I felt lonely at times in Boston too. So like I said, I think that's just a reality of living alone or living through a pandemic. It's like a lot of those factors, not just like where I live right now. A lot of questions on biggest expense, budgeting strategy. Without a doubt, rent is my biggest expense. Nothing is even close to the rent expense. And right now, personally, I'm in a really heavy saving phase of my life. So what I do, kind of my strategy, not that I'm, you know, giving the best advice possible here. There's other financial channels for that. But when I get paychecks, I generally move them to saving. And then I just make sure that I have enough in my checking account to pay my rent, for food, for like other fun costs, like, you know, if I'm getting drinks or groceries, or I'll also give myself, you know, some spending money for clothes or whatever I'm doing. But the rest of my money ultimately goes into savings and then that's invested. So that's my strategy. I feel like for most people who live in New York, rent generally is the biggest expense. I would assume like transportation could be up there, but I really have been walking most places. How are you making friends? How to make friends? It's tough. I think that making friends as an adult becomes significantly more difficult. I think that when you're in high school or college, it's easier in a sense that, for me at least, when I was in high school, you know, I surrounded myself with people that I grew up with, our families were similar. And then going to college, I, you know, joined clubs, organizations, I was in Greek life, whatever it may be, I was able to kind of plug myself in. But then when you're an adult, it's kind of like, what social circles do you join? You know, how do you find friends, especially if you're moving to a new city? I totally get it. And for me, I don't work a traditional job, so I don't have that like office element. I think a lot of people make friends with their coworkers, which is so awesome. That's what I did in Boston, and it was great. But how I've been making friends here, a lot of it is social media, honestly, which is a great tool. I have a few friends here from high school. I did grow up on Long Island, so a few friends are here from that. I actually do have some friends now that moved here from Boston. So like some of my old coworkers and things like that. And those are pretty much the three main ways that I have been making friends. Also, friends of friends is up there. Just general advice I could give you guys. I've heard a lot of people have had success using Bumble BFF. So if you move to a new city, try using that. This is not sponsored. That's just a tip that I've heard. And honestly, social media, even if you aren't like on social media, maybe it might seem like kind of strange, but I think everybody could appreciate, you know, reaching out to someone. I see a lot of people actually randomly in TikTok comments being like, hey, I just moved to New York City, like let's link up or whatever it is. And I think that's great, you know? You have to put yourself out there for sure, and it could be scary, but don't just be lonely, you know? Like try to get out of the comfort zone. Do you miss your car / wish you had one? I don't wish I had one here. I don't think New York City for me would make sense to have a car. There's a lot of options for public transportation here. It's just a really walkable city. I've been doing so much walking, which I love. I definitely miss having a car in the sense of the accessibility to places, but the parking situation in New York, like I said, it just wouldn't make sense for me to have a car. I do miss, you know, going for my drives, my drive-throughs, whatever it may be. So I do miss it, but like I said, I don't miss it in the sense that like I wish I had it. Questions on the dating scene. I'm really just like dabbling in it still. Like I said, it's only been 2 months. Personally for me, I'm just, I'm on the dating apps. That's what I'm using. They seem promising. I think the dating scene seems similar to Boston as of now. So I can't really speak like too much on it. Like I said, I'm just starting. And right now I'm just focusing on me. So I don't have any updates to share, but I think a lot of people right now are using dating apps too, just because like I said, it's so tough to meet people in this environment. I think at least with the dating app, you can kind of like get to know someone before you just jump into going on a date with them in person. You could even virtually date. It's pretty cool. Expectations versus reality. Yeah, I think everybody expects, you know, New York City to be like so glamorous and all of that stuff. But I think my expectations were so low just considering the times that we're living in. You know, I told myself beforehand, I was like, all right, Brooke, you're probably gonna, you know, be spending a lot of time alone, probably going to be spending a lot of time inside, probably only going to be seeing people, you know, in small groups. And all of that still rings true. But at the same time, it is New York City, and I feel like I've met people that I would never have normally met just because like this is such a cool city, and been able to explore different like neighborhoods and stuff like that, which I love. Could you see yourself living in this apartment for more than a year? So yes and no. I really am happy with my choice of apartment. I feel like I'm pretty central to a lot of different things. Like I said, walkable to most. I could obviously take the subway too if I'm going like more uptown, but a lot of my friends live in it like this area, kind of like East Village. There are definitely other areas I love. I really like Greenwich Village, West Village, East Village, more of like the villagey areas. But I think considering this was like my first move, I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, of course I like got advice from other people and watched videos and whatever. But for my first New York City apartment, I'm so happy with this choice. So, I mean, it would make so much sense to renew. It just saves a ton of money, of course, on moving costs, and it would just make sense to stay, but who knows? I guess we'll see how happy I am a year from now. How long do you see yourself in the city? I want to say like indefinitely, but life changes so fast, you know? Who knows with the state of the world how things will kind of progress, but right now I love being here. I want to be here for a lot of my like younger years. I see myself here in my 20s. I definitely see myself like having a suburban life someday. I don't know per se where, if that would be, you know, in the Northeast, in Connecticut, maybe back on Long Island, I don't know. So for now I will say indefinitely, but that has like a little like star asterisk thing on it because I'm not sure. And the last question is, are you happy? It's so funny because my mom asked me this the other day when I was home. She was like, so are you like happy with your choice? Of course, I need to like, I want to keep it real with you guys. Like not every day is amazing, glorious, fantastic. Like I said, do I get lonely? Yes. Do I sometimes hate myself for paying so much money in rent? Yes. But overall, I'm so happy to be here. I feel like it's just the city that makes sense for me to live in at this point in my life. And I'm excited for hopefully when the world gets a little more open and I'm able to do some more new things. And that's really it. Overall, you know, it's weird times, but I hope that answered some of your questions. I love you guys so much. Be sure to follow me on everything, subscribe if you're new, and I will talk to you guys all in another video super soon. Bye guys.